Hemp Wizard products are proudly used by former New England Patriots linebacker Brandon Spikes, Suicide Silence guitarist Mark Haleman, Canadian actor Jackson Rowe, Mr. Grimm and Noctis the drummers of Walking Corpse Syndrome, guitarist and vocalist Bub Heaston and bassist Ted Wilson of Black Sasquatch, guitarist and vocalist Adam Hines of Fester, Aaron Witzel, guitarist of Cropsy Maniac, Roy Boy, host of the Licking County Metalheads podcast, Crash Fistfight and Maxine Maxwell, host of the Musicians Hangout podcast, Jeff Towlinski, host of the Hard Rockin' Sports Show. The Hemp Wizard signature series artists are Walking Corpse Syndrome, So High, Black Sasquatch, Fester, You can give your beard the magic touch by going to hempwizard.net today and rock out with your... Just kidding.
And that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to another edition of the Hard Rockin' Sports Show, live from high atop Hard Rockin' Sports Studios in beautiful St. Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 3-hour weekly get-together. We bring you the biggest news around the world in hard rock, heavy metal, and, of course, the wide world of sports. And, guys, welcome to October the 5th. That's right, October the 5th in the year of our good Lord, 2023, and the Hard Rockin' Sports Show. That's right. Jeff and I here for the next 2 hours to inform and entertain you and probably piss each other off. But what the heck, that's what we do on a Thursday night. Guys, I hope you had a great week. Since our last show, I got to celebrate my birthday in Florida. It was a very nice weekend, a little bit of a bumpy flight, but nothing to write home about. Had a good time in Florida with my wife, and back home Sunday night late, ready for another work week, which I am happy to end tomorrow. Got a busy weekend coming up. But in the meantime, we got about 2 hours of football, sports, music, general talk. We'll get a little Taylor Swift in. I am so fed up with all of that. Guys, I tell you, guys, I don't care. I don't think most people care. Unless you're a Swiftie, and do we really believe that they're tuning in to watch her show up every 15 seconds to scream and yell in a booth? I don't get it. Listen, I'm an Iron Maiden fan, but if Steve Harris was in the stadium, I could care less. Show me once that he's in there, great. Steve Harris is in the game. Short of an Elvis sighting, I don't care less. If Elvis pops up in the building, show him 100 times. But man, it is so annoying to watch a football game and after every play have to listen to Chris Collinsworth, who's annoying to begin with, just completely asking questions about Taylor Swift and Swifties, and who gives a crap? I'm watching a football game. But I digress. Hold on. I got some messages here. Let's see what they are. Okay, hold on. Let's see. How's that? Any better? Any better, guys? Anyway, I hope you guys can hear me. Jeff saying he's had a problem hearing me on my mic. All my volumes are up, so I don't think it's me, but I cranked it up a little bit further. Let's see. Anyway, let's see who's out there. Adam Hines. What's up, Adam Hines? Adam, you hearing me clear? Let me know, guys. In the meantime, we'll talk about an Aussie museum. We'll talk about I'm a very disappointed Giant fan. I am a disappointed football fan. Baseball's over. We'll get to we got a lot of stuff tonight. I got a lot to talk. Good. I'm glad you hear me, Adam. In the meantime, I hope you guys have had a great week. Again, it's gonna be a busy month. We got a lot going on the weekends around here, but Thursday nights are meant for Hard Rocket Sports. So let's get it kicked off. And there's only one way to do that is by getting my partner in crime and the sexiest man on his side of the screen, Mr. Jeff Butt Cutlet Towinski.
I'm not the butt cutlets, man.
It's all I see at the bottom of my screen says butt cutlets. That's all it says. Well, that's you.
I am the czar. I am the czar. You are butt cutlets.
Nobody's calling you the czar. Nobody.
Believe me, I am the czar.
Not even if you paid your wife, would she call you the czar?
I am the czar. You are. That's why it's butt cutlets and the czar. You are the one getting top bidding. Butt cutlets.
Yeah. Anyway. Jeff, it's an interesting week when your boy Joe Biden decides to put the wall up finally after 3 years. Taylor Swift is the focal point of a football game. Dick Butkus dies. We got a lot to talk about tonight, but let's start the show off the way we always started off with. Jeff, how was your week?
It was a good week, Tom. It was a fucking good week. It started on Sunday. It was an excellent week, and it was great. Really?
Give me. Can you tell us why all of a sudden? Usually you're on. It's a terrible week. My job.
Yeah, my job really sucks. Well, I'll be honest with you. Sunday night, the Jets played pretty good. They looked good, so that started the week off. And then Monday, it just got better from there.
First of all, so you're saying at this point in your Jet fandom, a non-double-digit loss started your week off in a good. That is what started your week off to be a good week. The fact that you didn't get crushed by a team that underperformed. I mean, they were terrible. Patrick Mahomes couldn't have been worse. They would have been better off letting Taylor Swift.
Listen, when it's all said and done, nobody's going to care, and nobody's even going to remember what the score was and who won and everything else. It was a decent win, and hopefully, it is the emergence of Zach Wilson. I doubt it. I'm sure he's going to get destroyed very soon coming up. But at least for one game, he actually played like the number 2 pick in the draft. But more importantly, New York's other team, the other team over there, the Giants, they couldn't look any more horrible. I almost felt bad for Giant fans.
Don't feel bad for Giant fans. This is just part of the rebuilding. Listen, this is a team that is rebuilding. I mean, last year we had a great year. We won a playoff game.
That's not rebuilding. That's not rebuilding. That's tearing down.
No, it's not. It's not.
They took everything that you – listen, Evan Neal, right? Isn't he a right tackle?
He's a right tackle.
Do me a favor. Shouldn't he be filling up Gatorade bottles on the sideline? He's a right tackle. Nobody gives a fuck. Be quiet. Stop saying everything.
Well, we'll get to that.
The whole Brian Dable situation and him and Daniel Jones having an argument or whatever that was on the sideline.
Okay.
All right.
He chewed out his player. Daniel Jones played terrible, had a terrible game, and his coach let him up for it. And good for him. I'm glad he did it.
I don't blame Daniel Jones.
I don't blame Daniel Jones either, but he made a really bad play, and the coach gave it to him on the sideline. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't blame Daniel Jones. You don't run for your life, get sacked 11 times, pressured on every other play.
Is shell-shocked at this point in time.
100%. I would have been shell-shocked too. I agree.
If your offensive line that has been in flux for what now, their third or fourth coach in a row in how many years, and you still don't have it right, it doesn't matter who was back there. They were going to get killed.
Well, again, I'm not disagreeing with any of that. Listen, it didn't help that they lost 2 starters during the game. The number 3.
Can I ask Mr. Finelli a question?
Sure.
Robert Finelli, how are you? You say Giants coaching staff is letting us down. Are you part of the team? Is that correct? Is that what I'm getting at?
Being part of it's
nah, I gotta bust people's balls when they say that. I love when people say that, letting us know.
I will tell you this. I am not disappointed in Brian Dable. I'm not disappointed in Joe Shane. This is the start of a second year. I don't expect them to turn this thing upside down and around 100%. I think they got ahead of things last year. I'm happy they did, but there's a lot of holes on this team. They have no money to come into to fix a lot of this. Again,
so then how do you go from a team that made it to the second round of the playoffs and now are accepting of a 1-3 team? Daniel Jones has two touchdown passes all season. He's got 6 interceptions. I think he has part of the league lead in interceptions. Right now, Zach Wilson, other than yardage, has better offensive numbers as a quarterback than Daniel Jones. And believe me, if I could get rid of Zach Wilson tomorrow as a Jet fan, I would take anybody over him.
Again, I am not judging anybody by what I'm seeing right now. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done. I'm most disappointed in the defense. I expected more out of the defense this year than I've gotten. I knew the offensive line was going to be a little tricky, and you've got one of the league's best tackles has been out for 3 games. You got your young center, second round pick, who's played really well so far this year. He goes out first series of the game. Your starting right guard goes out first series of the game. Your backup tight end goes out first drive of the game. Again, there's no excuses. They didn't play well. Here's the problem. Let's take it to a nutshell. And this is where I do blame the coaching staff, and I blame all of football coaching staffs. When you don't block and you can't tackle, and the Giants have been atrocious at both so far this year, I don't care who your running backs are, your quarterback is, your wide receiver is. I don't care who plays safety for you. I don't care who plays linebacker for you. When you can't block and you can't tackle, you don't win. And that is an epidemic around the league. But it's worse with this New York Giant team. And that I have seen some of the worst tackling, some of the worst blocking, some of the worst blocking schemes that I've ever seen. And that is troubling to me. But again, I am far from, ready to blow up this Giant team. They're building. They're in their second year. They're still getting through cap hell a little bit. They'll get better. It's not going to be today or tomorrow. It could be a rough season. I still think there's a chance for a solid season. We're going to find out in the next 4 weeks. Jeff, you get 2 games that probably aren't winnable, but for the record, I think Daniel Jones is like 5-0 against the AFC, and then whatever in the last 2 years, but yet like 0-28 against the NFC. So he gets the Dolphins this week on the road and the Bills on the road. Do I expect them to win both games? I don't. But if you win one of those games, just steal one, you get the Jets, the Commanders, and then the Raiders. All winnable football games. But the way you play
all losable football games too.
Listen, every game's a winnable, losable football. Listen, do I think the Giants and the Bills have a winnable football game? That's not a winnable football game to me. They could win it, but the way the Giants are playing, the way the Bills are playing, I don't see it. Can the Giants go in and beat the Jets, the Commanders, and the Raiders? Absolutely, they can. It's much more feasible. It could blow up and it'd be terrible. And you're right, Jeff. Evan Neal, to me, that's a bad choice. You cannot challenge the fans. You cannot go out there, and if the fans want to boo you because you're bad, Jeff, you got to let it go. You got to take it and run. If you're good and they boo you, I get it. But when you're as terrible as he's been this year, and I think he's going to be good in the long term, but today when you're that bad and guys are running around you like you're a traffic cone, you got to eat it and shut up. You can't sit there and tell guys that you're a sheep and I'm a lion, or you're flipping burgers. That's dumb.
Well, listen, while I agree with you, and it's hard to disagree, okay?
Yeah.
But this was a highly anticipated draft pick, and during the draft he was taken, and I remember he could have went first, second, whatever it was
at
the time. And now, once again, another offensive line. Now, don't get me wrong, I know the Jets' offensive line sucks too. Maybe even worse than the Giants, but no Jet quarterback has got sacked 11 times. And I mean, it just, the Dallas game, they were atrocious. There's been a lot of problems.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't build no momentum. And Barkley, getting hurt, I know doesn't help.
No.
But, how are you supposed to let this guy go, bad ankle, and hope that he generates something with an offensive line? I don't know. When would you even bring him back to play?
Well, if you're Barkley, first of all, you want to get back on that field, because right now you're perpetuating the thought process. Basically teams are saying you're a great, talented player. He's probably the second or third best back in the league, but you can't stay in the field, which is why the Giants didn't want to give you a 3-year deal. So if you're Barkley, you got to get back out there and say, all right, I missed a couple games, but you got me the rest of the way. And he's a difference maker. He makes teams play differently. But you're right. When do you bring him back? At this point, you got to make sure he's 100% healthy. Same with Andrew Thomas. And here's the thing I'll tell you about Evan Neal. All you got to do is look on the other side of the line. The first 2 years that Andrew Thomas lined up at left tackle, people said he's a wasted pick. He's terrible. He's horrendous. Year 3, they were like, oh, wait, this guy's actually pretty good. And last year, he was voted, I think, in the top 3 offensive left tackles in the game. So he's a premier left tackle right now. So there's no reason in the world to give up on a guy like Evan Neal at this point. Yeah, he looks like a traffic cone, but you can't give
up on him because I don't know much about him. I'm just going by what I read the last couple of days. And the thing that I'm harping on or running with, of course, is that he's a right side tackle.
Yeah.
And everybody says about the left side. The left side is where it's at. That's the big money. That's the big superstar lineman and everything else. And now here he is, right side, and he's having problems. What would they ever do if the other guy decides to leave free agency and they just have him laying around, Evan Neal? Would he ever be able to play the left side at this point in time?
Well, here's the funny part. See, Evan Neal was a year or 2 behind Andrew Thomas at Alabama. So when Andrew Thomas left, Evan Neal became the starting left tackle for Alabama. So when they came up in the draft, the Giants said, we're going to take the best tackle available, and it was Evan Neal. So the hope was we got Andrew Thomas long-term. We get Evan Neal. We teach him to play the right side. He has played the right side in college before Andrew Thomas left. And we have 2 bookends for life. And if anything happens, we have a guy who's a natural left tackle playing right tackle who we could slide right over to the left side. So that was the thinking, and it still might be the way to go. You still might have your bookend tackles, and I love the kid center, John Michael Schmitz. He's played great. Unfortunately, it was a dumb play they called, and the kid got hurt on it. So I think there's 3 guys set. I think right now the big problem has been both guards and Evan Neal. And so, again, back to it. I will, like I blasted Joe Douglas for weeks now about 5 years in, he hasn't fixed the offensive line. I can't blast Joe Schoen. It's only a year and change, but we got to do better. It's got to be better. And until you block and until you tackle, and I'm more disappointed in the tackling, it has been atrocious. And guys just throwing their bodies, at nothing or trying to arm tackle. That's the most frustrating part. They were in that game last week, and they just let it get away from it. Every time they get a 3rd and 15, they get 16 yards. They get 3rd and 22, they get 23 yards. It's very frustrating. But again, it's only year 2 of this regime, and I got faith that they're going to turn this thing around at some point. I think the biggest problem for me, Jeff, again, is the expectations were so high by me as well. I expect them to be a playoff team this year, and they still might be. But I think that's the biggest problem is everybody came in off of last year and said, this team for sure. And then you look at the schedule. Think about this. They opened up against Dallas, okay? They played San Francisco on a short week after a win. Then they got a game they should have won, but a tough team in Seattle. And then you get Miami and Buffalo. I mean, that's a tough first schedule for the first 5 weeks of the season. You got 4 potential playoff teams, and Seattle's no joke.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't say that Seattle is I wouldn't put Seattle in the same class as Dallas.
And no, definitely not. But then a pushover.
Well, I didn't say that, but I definitely wouldn't put them in another class.
No, sure. That's a team the Giants should have beat. They should have beat them.
As far as that goes, and what you're saying, you have a tendency to want to hold on to things until it's too late. And I think that sometimes you're saying, well, it's only year 2. And I'm not saying to tear it all down. I just think that Dable has made enough bad mistakes, bad decisions this year that I would consider going with a coaching change before I would a quarterback change. Putting Daniel Jones out, I remember, was it the first game of the season where
against Dallas.
raining against Dallas, and like into the fourth quarter, just made no sense at all, whatsoever. And a couple of his other decisions that I just think are terrible. I wouldn't want him as my coach either. I would rather have Mike Tomlin as a coach.
Listen, I think Mike Tomlin is a decent coach. His record speaks for itself. So
I say that because of John.
No, I got you, and I know why he's saying that's true. No, I don't think Dable's been superb, but I don't think he's been terrible. He's got to take the heat. This is his team. He put it on the field, but it's a long way from the finished product, and it'll get there. In my opinion, I'm not changing coaches after year two. There's been enough really good from Dable and this coaching staff and the culture that I wouldn't change it. Are there changes that should be made? There probably, and if they need to fix the offensive line one way or the other. Hopefully they'll get some money. Leonard Williams comes off the books at the end of the year. There'll be a bunch of money at the end of the year. You got to spend some money and go get
Leonard Williams goes.
Yeah, I think this is his last year. I think he's comes off the books like $32 million this year. I think that's
a year
for this year. Yeah, I believe so.
Why would they sign him for that kind of money to that?
He didn't. When he got the extension from Gettleman, it was a 3 or 4 year extension, and they backdated the money. So the first year was like $10 million, the second year was 15, then it got 20, and then this year, the pot is at the fullest. He's at 32. Now the Giants could have extended him for another 2 or 3 years and pushed the money down the road, but Joe Schoen basically said, "Listen, we're going to suffer this year. We'll get through the year. He's still a good player, and then if he wants to come back next year, it'll be in a brand new deal that the money is way down, or he'll go and we'll replace him with somebody else." So that's
I think that he's a waste.
I disagree. I think he's over. Here's the problem: you can be a really, really good player and be overpaid, and I think that's all that Leonard Williams was. I think it was a lot of hype. He's a good player. He plays the run really well. He's a decent pass rusher. He's a good player. He's just not worth Aaron Donald money. He's not worth Dexter Lawrence money. He's not that guy anymore. And
he never was that guy.
No, I disagree. I don't think he was ever that guy. I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think he was a really, really good player. He's a guy who's a second-tier defensive lineman who should have gotten 10, 12, 15 million a year. Instead, he was getting $20 and $30 million a year, and that's hamstrung them. So I applaud Joe Schoen. He could have took the easy way out, extended his contract, got him down to $16 million, had a whole bunch of money, but then he would have been stuck with him for another 2 or 3 years at bad money. So eventually, you got to let that pot, run out, and the Giants chose to do it this year. They're eating the salary, and again, I think it'll get better and easier next year, but we'll certainly see. Dable made some ballsy moves last year, and everyone thinking, yeah, I think the guy's a really good coach. I think listen, I don't like a lot of these moves. Have you noticed the trend of coaches, going for 4th and 1s? I mean, I saw it a couple of games. The Jets did it 4th and 1 in their own end. They went for a fake punt at their own 19-yard line. And they made it, don't get me wrong. I think it was the Dolphins went for a 4th and 1 at their own 20-yard line. There's a big trend of going for a 4th and 1 in their own end and not kicking field goals. And I think that's hurt the Giants twice so far this year. And also going for 2 in the first quarter. None of it makes any sense to me.
Well, let's take each one of those first. The non-punting thing, I think that a lot of the touchback rules are...
But if you're on your own 20-yard line, I mean, you're not worried about touchback.
I understand that, but I still think that, maybe it has something to do with the touchback rules. Maybe some of these coaches think their defenses could hold these teams. Maybe they're willing to give up a field goal and think that their defense will hold them. I don't know. I don't agree with it either. Don't get me wrong, because if you're too deep in your own end and you're not going to be able to do anything, you get rid of the ball, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as the 2 points, I forget what game I was watching. I don't think it was the Giant game, and they were saying they were trying to figure out what it was they were doing by getting the 2 points, and they were like, "Oh, this is what happens. He gets the touchdown now." And they were down by 16 or something like that. So it's two scores, 2-point conversions. So so like they're calculating too much ahead.
Yeah.
2-point conversions and stuff that used to happen late in the fourth quarter when a team was down and maybe they had the momentum. I agree with you. That's stupid because you're leaving a point off to the side if you don't make it. And I think only 1 point, but 1 point still is 1 point.
Yeah. And if you're chasing 1 point all game, you keep chasing it. You're going to have to go for 2 later on. You got to go for 2 again. Yeah, I don't understand the theory behind some of this new analytics that these coaches use. So, again, it's baffling to me. But again, I'm not making any change. If I'm the Giants, stay the course. Try to fix what you got right now. Turn it around, but be smart, and get the work in. And you just, again, it's fundamentals. You watch the games. I watch every play. I watched every play of every game this year, and it's the same thing. Stop with the dumb penalties. I mean, there were so many dumb penalties by the Giants in that game that just frustrate the hell out of you. Dumb, stupid plays. And, again, bad tackling and bad blocking. And if you don't do both, at least competently, you're not winning football games here. So, listen, you chalk it up, you move on. This week is Miami. I want to get to all the games this weekend, go through them with Jeff. I have a new segment I want to introduce today. So we'll get to that a little later on. We're going to talk about the Jets. We'll talk a little baseball. I want to talk about Trevor Bauer. I don't know if everybody remember who Trevor Bauer is, but I want to bring that back up. But in the meantime, I want to get my dad on. He's been hanging a few minutes. I want to see what he's got to say. Then we'll come back, Jeff and I, and we'll talk about an Ozzy museum and a whole bunch of other stuff, including some stuff at the border. We'll get the latest episode of the Travels of Pepe, as I've named it now. And, of course, our latest Raider report. So give me a minute. Let's get my dad on, and we'll get right back to the action. What's up, Pop?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you? Good. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Tom.
How you doing, Mr. Florio?
I'm good, thank you. And listen, Jeff, I agree with you. Tommy, I agree with you. Giants got a lot of problems. I think they're big, which I thought all along was their front line.
Yep. Yeah,
both sides.
Yeah, and it's come,
both sides of the front line.
It's come to fruition. Yep.
I mean, that kid was. They were hiking the ball, and before the ball even got in his hands, he was running. I mean, he was.
Yeah,
it was.
I agree, terrible. And I think Jeff hit the point on the head more than anything. And I think there's something that I didn't hear a lot of this week. But after a while, Jeff, when things become habit or repetition. What happens? You react to it. So when the few times that he did have time to throw the football, he rushed himself because why, Jeff? Because every other play, he's getting hit from every angle. Yeah, so immediately he's saying, I got to get the ball, throw it much faster than I have to because every other play I'm getting hit from every angle. So I can understand him doing that. Doesn't make it right, don't get me wrong, but he's got to learn to stand in and take the beating and play the game the right way. But I think a lot of what you said was right on the money.
Listen, we've all seen quarterbacks throughout the years get beatings and get hit hard, and it ruins them. Sure. It absolutely ruins them. Getting hit by a 300-pound angry man cannot be fun, especially if you don't see it coming, and they hit you with a full head of steam. So, if the guy gets gun shy, it happens. It happens to a lot of different quarterbacks. I wouldn't want to have it happen to me. I wouldn't want a 100-pound guy hit me.
Yeah, again, it's way too early in the season. It's way too early in this coaching tenure to blow it up and stop. But it's got to get better. And I don't mind. Again, I've said this so many times. I don't mind losing. Teams lose. Some teams lose a lot. But when you don't do the fundamentals, I said it all year for the Yankees and the Mets. I'll say it here for the Jets and the Giants. The fundamentals have to be better. We'll get to the Jets and my issues with the Jet teams, but both these teams are lacking in fundamentals. And Dad, Jeff, we talk about it all the time. I'm preaching till the show stops. When you don't have a preseason, when you show up in September having not played any real football, people are going to get hurt and people are going to make giant mistakes. And that's what's happening on these teams. Some teams are getting away with the Niners, the Cowboys. There are teams, the Eagles, who are just, for some reason, playing better. But after that, there's a lot of teams making mistakes, and our two teams here
there's a lot of injuries this year.
Yeah, a lot of soft
tissue non-contact injuries too.
Yeah, good point. I
can understand, but I can understand them not playing really preseason, because how many injuries do you get in preseason? And
but that football, going back to the Neanderthal days, they would practice twice a day.
Yes.
Back in the day,
yes.
They would have 2 a days in the extreme heat. I say all the time, I think the body just gets used to it. And yes, people are going to get hurt, but that's part of the game. But you can't go into September, flip a switch and go, okay, go out there and run full speed, go run into another 300-pound guy 50 times a game and think that your muscles are ready for it. It's just not. You have to start that way back in July and get yourself in shape for it. And then when the season starts, yes, you'll have a little bit of attrition in the off season, but man, I'll tell you, I've never seen it. And Jeff's right. There's a lot of injuries this year. A lot of guys get hurt just running up and down the field because their muscles aren't in shape yet.
I go by with them. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
It's like Tommy's saying, if these guys in the old days, they were used to starting something in July, that by the time September came, they built up a tolerance to getting hit. They were moving. They were doing a lot of different things. Now there's some offensive players. Aaron Rodgers, what did he play, like 4 plays or 9 plays or something like that? Not in the first game.
Preseason, 2 series.
2 series.
Yeah,
so how's he getting his arm, his throws, and everything?
I agree. I go by what Vince Lombardi used to say. And they used to complain about his practices. And he said, I wanted you to play harder in practice than you have to play in a regular game. Get all your bumps and bruises now. And obviously it worked. Can't complain about it.
Yeah, I mean, boxers, when they, I don't know if they still do it today, but, for a 45-minute fight, whatever it is, a 48-minute fight, they train 4,800 hours,
right?
Because you got to get your body used to that. Nobody's used to that. You can't walk onto a football field in September and think that you're going to be top of your game immediately, that your body's in that shape. And I'll say it again. I know that they negotiated this. This is what football wanted, and I get it. Start of the season, you're out there with all your superstars. But Jeff, how many of them have dwindled down? You lost Aaron Rodgers. The kid Chubb from the Browns. I mean, how many quarterbacks have gotten hurt along the way?
The Chubb injury, he could have played every down in the preseason, offense and defense. That was just a bad luck play, man. There's nothing that he could have done on that.
Yeah, I just like I said, it's bad luck. In either going to get hurt or you're not going to get hurt. And to me, listen, nobody wants their starting quarterback to go down in September. Nobody wants their starting left tackle to go down in August. That's, nobody wants it, but it's going to happen. So, you know what? Be ready for. I would rather lose a couple players in August, but be at the top of my game in September than show up in September and lose guys in the first couple of weeks and still be scratching to get to be in shape.
Look at Joe Burrow. He hurt his calf in July. We're in almost the middle of October. Well, the beginning of October, and he's still having issues. He's still not 100% right.
Yeah.
I don't think these guys play. I don't think they play hurt. I'm not trying to build up the guys from 50 years ago that played with their nose broken and that. I mean, there's 2 different eras of football. But today, whether it's baseball, football, hockey, I mean, I remember watching hockey games, guys getting their gums sewed up, blood dripping out of there.
I still think the hockey players are a different breed. Those guys are a different breed. They're still tough guys. I think the other sports, especially basketball, baseball, and football to a large extent, I think the wussification of pro sports has been going on a long time. And if you're Evan Neal and you got your hamstring was tweaked, tape the damn thing up and you show up for the biggest game of your season so far. I don't care what anybody tells me. You got to drag yourself out there. Unless that leg is falling off or you had to have a pin put in it, your best better be on the sideline, suited up and ready to go. That's a big game. That's your season. That's a game that you need to be out there as the best player. I'm sorry. I question a lot of these guys and their ability to be out there. So, yeah, you're right, Rob. Blame it on the participation trophies. I couldn't agree with you more.
The shame of it is this. For what these guys are making, the salaries that they're commanding and they're getting, and then the price of the tickets and everything else. And I know it's not the same thing, but a friend of mine is taking his kid to wrestling as part of his Christmas present. 3 tickets for wrestling and to meet a couple wrestlers, $2,800 he's paying right before.
Wow.
That'd be nuts.
Yeah. Well, he's got, and believe me,
got the bucks.
Second row seats. Oh, he's doing what he can for his kid. He's a little bit of an older guy. He's got a young kid. Kid is maybe 7 or 8 years old. But $2,800 he's paying for him, his wife, and his son to go to wrestling. I would rent old movies and say, "Hey, this is the closest you're getting."
I agree with you, man.
Wow.
Matter of fact, me and Tommy, we went and got our picture taken with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I think we paid an extra $5 a head, or we paid $20, whatever it was, to get up there.
Yeah, pretty much, yes.
And the way he looked, I think if we gave him 25, he would have let us put him in a wrestling hole.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to let you go, Tommy.
All right, Pops.
Yep, that was good. Take care. I'll see you over the weekend, Tommy.
I'll see you tomorrow night, Pops.
Okay. Take care.
See you later.
Take care, Jeff.
You good?
All right, that's my dad. He checks in every week. And love that one. Okay.
I still keep an eye out for the wrestling. They have wrestling in that place once in a while. I want to go back again. Yeah.
Listen, if you see it, let me know. I go back.
I know you're easy, man. You'll go again.
Listen, I love that intimate setting where you go and you watch. It's the independent guys, and you watch them wrestle, and I think it's a ton of fun. And it's even better when they drag out a couple of the old timers there, and you can, for $10 go. I mean, I have a picture of myself with Tito Santana with what's his name, the Russian guy.
Oh, there's a couple different ones. I don't know which one they use. Ivan Koloff.
No, the one that sang the national anthem.
Oh man, what the fuck was his name?
Oh my God.
He was teamed up with the Iron Sheik.
Yes. And
I can't remember. Nikolai Volkov.
There you go. Yep, that's it. I got a picture with him, and then I got the picture of you and I with Ricky the Dragon. I think you got Ricky the Dragon's Hall of Fame ring on, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. Well, he had the ring with him.
I thought he let you wear it. But anyway, yeah. So, dude, if you see that, just say something. I'll go, especially if they're dragging out any of the old timers, because I love that shit. To get the chance to meet the Ricky the Dragon or Tito Santana, one of those guys, it's great. I'm all in.
Yeah, I hear that. There was something I was just going to add to that. Oh, on ESPN, I was reading ESPN as I was eating my dinner before the show, and there was a section about WWF championships and who owned it and who held it and everything else. Okay. They did a couple different championships, and some of them went pretty far back.
Oh, really?
I was always under the impression that Jimmy Snuka and Tito Santana never held a major title anywhere.
I wouldn't say anywhere. I know in the WWE, I don't remember them holding titles.
In the WWE, you're right. They didn't hold anything. But according to this, Snuka was like a champion for like 270 days.
Oh, really? What, like the NWO or something? One of those?
What's that?
What, like the NWO or whatever that is?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and now these titles are now absorbed by the WWE.
Sure, yeah.
And it's like amazing because some of these names that are on there, like Harley Race, they went as far back as 1975 in that title. Then it was the WWE title or whatever was the WWF title, and they had
WWF.
Yeah, the Pedro Morales.
Oh yeah,
far back as and the Intercontinental belt with Buddy Rogers.
Wow.
Yeah, they had a couple different ones that I was like, wow, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, now when I remember watching the WWF, I'm talking mid 70s, late 70s, early 80s. I only remember them having the heavyweight belt and the tag team belt. I don't remember when the Intercontinental Championship belt came in.
That came in the late 70s, early 80s, I think, like 79, 78, 79, 80, something like that. That was a relatively new one. It was relatively new, but it was there for a while, a little bit longer than we thought.
Hold on, I'm looking it up. A history of the Intercontinental Championship. Okay. So, see full list. Let's see. Title. Okay. So, Jeff, you couldn't be more right. Pat Patterson looks like became the first champion. Okay, so I'm going to give you what was the first year. I'm going to give you a chance. What was the first year? Pat Patterson was the first champion. What year did the belt come into existence?
I think it was 1979.
On the money. Dead set
on
the
money. I just read it, so it's kind of.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. All right. And he beat Ted DiBiase to win it.
No way. You got to be.
Patterson became the first champion as a result of defeating Ted DiBiase to win the WWF North American Heavyweight Championship on June 17, 1979, Allentown, Pennsylvania, in a financial tournament. That was the very first Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship, according to Wikipedia. It then went to Ken Patera, Pedro Morales, Don Morocco, Pedro Morales, Don Morocco. Tito Santana was the Intercontinental Champion.
If you go to ESPN, right, and go to their wrestling section, or at least on my tablet, it was coming up in the main feed. But if you go to the wrestling section, they had a thing for all of the championships, man. And there's championships now, like women's tag team.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, you got to be kidding me.
Frankie Catalano.
And what's up, Frank? I waved at you, but I don't know if like there's ever a match that's not a championship match on wrestling now. They have so many different belts. It's like how do you keep track?
Yeah, I can't. I told you I can't watch it anymore. Like it's not my thing. I did watch one of those Vice channels has a Dark Side of the Ring, Dark Side of the NFL, Dark Side of Comedy, Dark Side of the 90s. I watch a little bit of that stuff. I some of it I'm not crazy about, but they had one and I wasn't up on it, so that's why I wanted to watch it. It was Dark Side, the Bash of the Beach 2000, and it's when Hulk Hogan was in the NWA, right? It would be NWA, and it was all about their big bash at the beach, and how it was a whole conspiracy theory, and how he didn't want to give up the belt, and Jeff Jarrett laid down. I mean, if you ever get a chance to watch it, it was all basically about Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo, and who hate each other. Yeah, Frank Darkside is great. Bash at the Beach. That was kind of at the end of my era of watching any sort of wrestling, but I didn't watch those guys. I was still watching WWF. It was a really good one. I watched it on the flight to Florida. I downloaded it and I watched it on the flight. But it's amazing some of the names. Like I said, I never knew Tito Santana was ever a Intercontinental Champion. He was for 226 days.
Talking about it, the more you're saying it, I remember him being Intercontinental Champion.
I don't. And then again, he won it the second time a year later. Savage, Steamboat, Honky Tonk Man. I remember Ultimate Warrior, Rick Rude, Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, Texas Tornado. So yeah, there's been the Mountie, the British Bulldog. There's been a ton of.
If you remember right, the Intercontinental Championship was held in the same esteem as the World Championship belt, but it was always like, what is the Intercontinental belt? What does that mean? Like, and then all of a sudden, guys would win the Intercontinental belt when they were seeing like they were getting a push. And is this guy worthy enough to be a champion? So give him the Intercontinental belt and see how people respond. And then they kick him up another notch.
Yeah. Now, here's something I never knew. Maybe you knew it. I didn't. It says Patterson, defeating on June 19th in Allentown. And defeating Johnny Rodz in a fictional tournament final in Rio de Janeiro to unify the North American Heavyweight Championship with the fictional South American Heavyweight Championship to create the WWF Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah. First match of the Intercontinental title took place on August 22nd, 1979, Championship Wrestling program, which aired August 25th, 1979, in an interview after Patterson defeated Johnny Rivera. So I didn't know any of that, but it's interesting to find that out 40-something years later.
And did you know that what's his face, Pat Patterson, ended up coming out of the closet years later as a full-blown homosexual?
Yeah, I did not know that until I read Roddy Piper's book, who alluded to Pat Patterson putting the moves on him.
Really?
As a young wrestler. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what was my next thing, is going to be like, imagine wrestling this guy and maybe not knowing or whatever. That must have been like a horrible scenario back then, and probably absolute torture for Pat Patterson at the time.
And Pat Patterson was a big name. He went out to be a big-time official with that. So who knows what happened backstage. And I also believe that Lord Alfred Hayes flipped the script. Was on the other side of the fence.
Really?
I believe the Lord
Alfred Hayes looked like maybe the guy that would sit at the end of the seedy bar in a bad neighborhood and and go chew on the toilet paper that was left behind on the side of the urinal or something.
I also believe the Grand Wizard was.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
So I think it was more rampant than we knew about.
Yeah, but like maybe the Grand Wizard was a manager. I don't know if he was ever a wrestler, but Pat Patterson we knew as a wrestler and an announcer, and he was up in the forefront with a lot of wrestling from when we were growing up. You remember who was he the announcer? Was it Gorilla Monsoon or Vince McMahon? Yeah,
both. Yeah,
Vince McMahon.
Vince, a lot of times with Vince McMahon. You're absolutely right. Yeah, interesting times, but yeah, it's funny. But you're right. There's so many titles now. It's just, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't watched it. I won't watch it. I'll remember the era. I watch a lot. Like I said, I have the Peacock Network, and they have all the old shows. And every so often on a weekend, I'll watch 6 or 8 different wrestling events or old shows and skim my way through them and just remember the fun times, the easier days, that will always mark a time in my life. There's a lot of things you can go, I remember that, but that highlight of wrestling will mark my youth for some of the best times that I've ever had. I was 13 till I was 18 or 19. That was just fun times, lots of hanging out with friends and some adventures, and that era of wrestling will mark that time for me forever.
Yeah, because like I know we've talked about this before, and we could talk about this all night long, because that's how good it was. It was one of those: is it real or is it not real? Is it real or is it not real? You could never figure it out, and it just, what? Like for me, I remember seeing wrestling for the first time on Saturday nights at midnight, seeing it there, and then they moved it to Saturday mornings, and I would watch it with my grandmother, and then it got to the point where I would go downstairs and watch wrestling with my grandmother every Saturday morning. And then all of a sudden, Bob Backlund, who I never really seen much on TV, if at all, lost to the Iron Sheik, who we knew who the Iron Sheik was. Yep. And then here he is fighting Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
And then Hulk Hogan won. And then it was like everybody knew that Hulk Hogan won. And it was the year of Rocky III with Thunder Lips and everything else. And all of these different guys like coming out of nowhere, like Mr. T and Hulk Hogan. They were, now they're friends in real life. Like, what the fuck is going on? What's going to happen next? And, it was just cheesy. Now when you watch it, some of those characters that they had were some of the cheesiest wrestling of all time.
Oh, sure. We've talked about that 100 times. But the funny part for me is I was watching wrestling in the mid-70s with Bob Backlund. I saw Backlund wrestle at the Garden a couple times as a kid. I watched him every Saturday night. What I didn't realize until Hulk Hogan won the title was he existed, yet he had wrestled in the WWF for years. And I have no knowledge, I have no remembrance in the early 80s, late 70s that Hulk Hogan was a wrestler for the WWF.
Was he a wrestler for the WWF, or was he like one of those traveling wrestlers that went to different territories?
Well, they all seem to do that. Even like Andre the Giant, they said every so often he would pop up in these different places at certain times of the year, but they all did. But he wrestled Andre at Shea Stadium in the early 80s and slammed them well before WrestleMania 3.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you can look that up. There's video of it. There's video of it. They show him, I don't know, 1980, 1981. He's the heel. Andre's the good guy, and he slams Andre in the middle of the match. Loses, but he slams Andre.
And now, well, I don't know who the big man in wrestling is now. I know the Big Show was the big man for a while, but I don't even know if he's still active in wrestling. But they reduced him to nothing. You had Kurt Angle picking him up and slamming him and suplexing him, and this 500-pound guy.
Yeah.
It's like they totally took apart the legend of the Giant, man. To me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. It was a shame that, listen, he'll always be Andre the Giant now. I mean, I get it and all that. But, yeah, at the end, it was, not the same. It was, by the way, I got our fantasy team up, which we got Christian Watson, who's questionable Monday night. And I'm just looking through it. I don't see anybody who needs to be moved in the lineup. Did you take a look at it today? Are you comfortable with what we got up there?
Well, I don't think we have anybody playing tonight, right?
We have nobody on our roster who is playing tonight, so we don't need to make any decisions tonight. So everybody Sunday or Monday.
Maybe wait on Christian Watson to see what happens. Well, right now we're man, good God, we are the doormats of the league.
Yeah, we certainly are right now. Yeah.
God.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't pretty last week.
And I'm still, my feelings are hurt, man. My feelings are hurt by a couple moves.
Oh, Johnny Mahefka, who's in first place with our moves, by the way.
And the best part is he's not even fucking playing Romeo Dobbs.
No.
He's not even playing him.
I'm going back, and I hope John's listening. I think he did it on purpose. I think
he had four guys on the fucking on the bench, and he's still like, oh, I'm sorry. We had four guys that were questionable or out when we went after Romeo Dobbs, and he was like, oh, I really needed the wide receiver. It's like, what are you talking about? None of your guys were injured. We didn't have people to play.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I agree. And I was not happy with.
I wasn't either.
Yes, and it didn't happen just once. I mean, it was at least twice, if not three times.
Twice. Swift.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. The guy Ford. Whatever his name was on the Browns.
Yeah, Swift.
And then Swift, we lost to somebody else.
Oh, Frank Jeffrey.
And Romeo Dobbs, we lost to
to him.
To John. But I keep looking every day. Every day I look, and I'm like, there's nobody. Nobody is hiding. Nobody is hiding.
No, there's nobody out there. Then you say, oh, that guy's in the weeds. Let me grab and put him on my nothing.
No.
We're going to war with what we got. And
it's all pavement. Never mind weeds where we are. It's like a bad neighborhood.
All right. We'll rebound. We'll find our way along the way, guys. Hard Rocket Sports, that's Jeff and Tom. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. We got the next episode of the Travels of Pepe as he makes his way across the country. And of course, Jeff has been kind of putting out there. He may do a facial reveal at some point, Jeff, for the real identity of Pepe.
Well, listen, I have reasons to believe that we have to reveal who Pepe may be and what he's all about. Okay, but it's almost like a Wizard of Oz type of thing, man. Is there a man behind the curtain, and if so, what is he doing? And I don't know. And listen, I get off on telling people bullshit. Not that I lie, I don't lie, but I like to entertain people. I like to, and more often, I like to entertain myself. So I love to see people's reactions when I say certain things. And well, this one, I mean, it could be next week. I don't know. I was gonna reveal it if the Broncos lost. I was gonna reveal it, but then without you saying it, I was like, I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer. And listen, it is what it is. I don't know. Is Pepe actually a migrant? Is Pepe actually somebody that's already here? Is he Spanish at all? Is he just hiding his identity because he's embarrassed? I don't know. We could go so many different ways with it.
Well, we're going to find out in the weeks to come. We'll have the next episode of The Travels of Pepe, and of course, the latest episode of the Raider Report, starring the one and only, and really only Dom Jinta. Well, at some point in the show, so stick around for that. We got a lot still to talk to. We'll get a little bit of the Swifties. I want to talk a little bit about the Jets from Sunday, and I'm interested. I mean, you were alluding to it before. A game like that, where you're expecting to get hammered, everybody thought that the Chiefs were going to come in and run all over them, and the Jets, I don't think, bad first quarter. I mean, a very bad first quarter for the quarterback, for the team.
Down 17 is, that's a bad first quarter, man.
Yeah. But after that, I thought the Jets represented themselves well. I thought it was probably the best I've seen of Zach Wilson. Now, I am not buying into this all Sunday clicked mentality. I think it worked for whatever reason. I still think he's the same quarterback that he was the week before, and the week before. But it remains to be seen. I've seen a lot of changes from people. All over the radio, people are going, well, maybe he's not so bad. Joe Namath said, I changed my tune. I was a disgruntled fan, but I hope he stays here for 10 years. Guys, let it play out. If it comes out this week, it shits the bed. You'll all be hanging from the next tree.
Jeff. As a Jet fan, let me give you my perspective. Okay,
that's what I want to hear. Go ahead.
He needs to go. He needs to go. Okay, he's another one that's damaged goods. You come to New York, you're in the media capital of the world. You're under the microscope. No matter what you do, where you go, and whatever happens in your life, people are scrutinizing you. His team was against him last year. There was people, the newspaper, the media, ESPN, the TV, they're all calling for him to be benched, to never play for New York again, this, that, and the other thing. He went out. I'm not going to say he had a bad game, because that would be retarded. He played a very good game for Zach Wilson. Absolutely. And an above-average game for some other quarterbacks, but a very good game for him. And he would have to do this for quite some time for me to say that he turned the corner. One game does not turn the corner. Not, you know what I mean? Patrick Mahomes was off, okay? Not for nothing. The Jets' defense is a good defense. I think that they had a good game. I also think that there was definitely some questionable play calling by the officials.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, terrible job.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of some of that. But, when you look at it, and you got to say to yourself that, this is a team that, they have talent, but in the most important position, I don't think that they have the right kind of talent. And I don't think that all of a sudden he's going to start carrying that team. I just don't see it. He did play smart, though. He did play smart. Got to give him that.
No, listen, there's no doubt about it. The kid had a good game. The ball was coming out of his hand fast and quick. He was making good decisions. I think there was a lot. If he just played that way every week, you'd say, all right, we might have something here. The problem is I've seen a couple games from him over the past couple of years, and then you get the next 4 or 5 games where he can't make a decision, throws the ball all over the field, and you want to run out there and punch him in the face. So, I don't know what you're going to get week to week from Zach Wilson. Is he the answer? I don't care how well he plays this year. Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback next September. Next September, Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback of this team. Now, if he plays real, I gave you this what if, and you wouldn't play along with it, and you're probably still not gonna. But I'll say it again: if Zach Wilson turned the corner and he plays well all year, and they teeter between a playoff team and whether they get there or not, to put him back on the bench next year is going to be an interesting take. But you're going to have no choice because Aaron Rodgers will be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets, barring some sort of malignant injury where they're going to cut his foot off.
The only thing that I could tell you is the only way that Zach Wilson stays starter and then for the New York Jets is if he turns around and he starts scoring and like playing like you wouldn't believe, and he makes Patrick Mahomes look like the original Zach Wilson. If he starts averaging 350 yards a game, 2 or 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions, the guy just moves the ball at will and the Jets become an offensive juggernaut, then he may start next year. But I got a tendency to agree with you. I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening for him.
Yeah, no, I think it's far-fetched. I do. I just think it's an interesting thing that if this kid turned it around, I mean, here's what you want if you're the Jets. You want Zach Wilson, the number 2 pick in the draft a couple years back, and all of a sudden he's lighting it up. He's just turned into, let's pick a quarterback. He's turned into Justin Herbert. He's turned into a good quarterback. Not a great superstar quarterback, but a solid quarterback. A guy who puts points on the board and you can count on him week to week. Now next year, come training camp, is there a battle for who's the starter? Could you ever see Aaron Rodgers sitting on the sideline holding a clipboard? That, to me, causes controversy. To me, if Aaron Rodgers is on this team next year, he's a starting quarterback, and that could present the problem. Now, I don't think it's going to. I don't think Zach Wilson's going to all of a sudden turn into that quarterback, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, but you know what, Tom? That's a tall order. That is almost the same as saying, 4-time MVP in the league. Yeah, just a one-time Super Bowl champion, but would Tom Brady have gotten replaced that fast? Would Roethlisberger have gotten replaced that fast? You know what I mean? Think of some of the other names that played during the Aaron Rodgers era. Would Drew Brees be replaced that fast? I just don't see it.
Yeah, no. I'm with you. I don't see it happening, but again, I think that it's an interesting theory. If you follow what people think this week, that maybe he's turned the corner. If that's the case, then what do you do with that next year? But let's see this week's game. Let's see what happens. The Jets are traveling out to Mile High Stadium. In fact, I think there's a chance they may be picking up Pepe along the way. But the Jets go to Mile High. The Broncos are coming off a win, and we have to go back to talk about how much bulletin board material is this, Jeff? I mean, Sean Payton came out early in the season talking about how Nathaniel Hackett was the worst coach in the world. He did a terrible job, one of the worst coaching jobs of all time. Do the Jets go in there with a little extra motivation?
You know what? I don't think either team has the right to go into this game with any kind of bulletin board material with 2 wins between them after week 4. I think that what they should worry about is winning the game, playing right, playing good, strong offensive game, strong defense, and trying to win the game, and not make this a pissing contest. Well, what's at stake? You got 2 1-win teams. Matter of fact, this may be one of the worst games this week between these
Which two. Is a new segment tonight. I will be going through game by game. And actually, Jeff, I listen to this every week on The Fan. They go through, they call it Cool Games. Jeff and I used to do something like this. We're gonna come up with a name, whether it's interesting games or big games. We're gonna go through the list of all the games and see how many games each week we would want to tune in to watch based on the game, the matchup. Maybe it's a quarterback matchup, a coaching matchup, a matchup like this where there's a little bit of intrigue because of the comments earlier on. We'll get to that before the night's over, and a lot of other stuff along the way. So stick around for that. But yeah, this is a big game for the Jets. you again, nothing's must win at this point, but 1-4 is a tough road. That division, Jeff. I mean, you got Buffalo at 3-1, Miami's 3-1. The division's slipping away quick, right? So it's still, now you're still talking wild card, and there's some room for that. But this is a game that if you're the Jets, you got to try to win.
Oh, listen, there's a lot of games that they played already that they should have tried to win. And I was reading something in the paper today where they said that they have to go I think it's 8-5 the rest of the way to have a legitimate shot at a wild card spot. And I don't see that happening. No. Now with the present makeup of this team, the offensive line, Mekhi Becton, I don't understand how that guy got fucking drafted. He must have been an absolute apparition in college.
Again, we've all talked about that one. I don't know if there's anything salvageable for Mekhi Becton. I don't see it. I mean, as much as Daniel Jones has been running, it ain't much better for Zach Wilson and that team. I mean, it's not a question of when or where, not a question of when or if, it's where it's coming from. And it's been happening all year for the Jets as well. And again, how much is that affecting Zach Wilson's play? I don't know the answer. They have not run the ball really well so far this year, which has been surprising to me. I don't think they're trying hard enough.
They're taking the pitch count off of Breece Hall.
Well, that's good to see. I'm glad.
Which I don't understand. If there was a pitch count on Breece Hall, why was he playing in the first place?
I would agree with you. To me, if you told me, Jeff, okay, we're going to run the ball 30 times, and 20 of it's going to be to Cook, and 10 is going to be to Breece Hall until we get to that point, I would understand it. Run the ball. You got two really good backs. Let's go for it. Shoving the ball down the throat. But they're running the ball 8 times a game, 11 times a game. They ran the ball 15 times a game, and Zach Wilson ran it for 9 of them. It just none of it made any sense.
Yeah, well, real quick, I'm trying to get to it now because to me, you bring up Dalvin Cook.
Yep.
Okay. Right now, Breece Hall leads the Jets with 210 yards on the season and 83 of them on one run. Okay. Yeah. He carried the ball 32 times. You went out and got Dalvin Cook. He's run the ball 30 times for 74 yards. The Jets as a team have run the ball 82 times for 382 yards, a 4.7 average with 1 rushing touchdown. You have Zach Wilson, who attempted 123 passes. So now you're talking, let's just use the two backs, 62 times between them. You're running the ball with 2 killer backs, half as much as you're actually throwing the ball. And so you're putting, and I understand they've been playing from behind, don't get me wrong, but how is that justifiable to not use the running backs and to rely and to put more pressure on Zach Wilson?
Well, that's the point that I've been on Robert Saleh, is to say, you already know you got a bad quarterback. You got 2 guys who are legit NFL backs. Why aren't you running the ball 30 times a game with these 2 guys and forcing it? Now, again, you get behind a little bit. I get it, but the Jets haven't really been blown out. It's not like they've been out of every game. It's just they can't score points. I mean, why they weren't running the ball more in the New England game? That was the perplexing part for me, is you're not completely out of these games. The Giants, they got out of these games early. The Dallas game, it was done in the first quarter. They had to throw the ball all day. The Niner game, they couldn't run the ball if they wanted to. They had to throw the football.
The only game that they seemed to get blown out in was the Dallas game, where they lost by 20. They lost by 5 to New England, and they lost by 3 to Kansas City. And they ended up winning against Buffalo in week 1 by 4 points.
And again, even in the Dallas game, it wasn't like, it was more late. I mean, it wasn't like in the first quarter they were down 20-0. I mean, with Kansas City, they were down 17-0 in the first quarter. The Dallas game wasn't that way. It was reasonably close. It got away from them, but yeah, again, there hasn't been enough emphasis on running the football. And on the Chief game, just one more thing for me. First off, I was on a plane, so I was watching the game on a plane, and I couldn't get the sound. So I was watching the game without the announcers, and I got to tell you how beautiful it was not to listen to Chris Collinsworth. But every play, it was like they turned it into Taylor Swift. And I'm going, why do I have to look at Taylor Swift? I get it. If Travis Kelce catches a touchdown, I kind of get it. You want to go there, show her and his mom jumping up and down, whatever. I'm tired of it. I'm over it already. I'm over it. I don't want to see any more Taylor Swift at football games. I don't care if she's there. And all you're making me do is change the channel. I have no issue whatsoever.
I listen, I agree with you. And you're 100% right. First of all, it's a Jets game, and Taylor Swift is at the Jets game with her boyfriend that plays on Kansas City. We don't need to know who Travis Kelce is banging. Okay, Travis, she's setting you up for the big breakup song.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Right? Because Travis Kelce is the new Rob Gronkowski, it seems. And
well, could be also the new Tony Romo. Don't forget, Tony Romo had the famous trip down to Cancun with Jessica Simpson.
Well, what I mean, like, a lot of things he's acting stupid.
Oh, I got you.
And frat boy on the loose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's stop, please, just fucking stop. Nobody gives a fuck about what you're doing and who you're banging. Nobody cares. And not for nothing. Well, like you said, Taylor Swift reminds me of somebody. She met Travis Kelce. They're hanging out. Whatever it is they're doing, probably staying up late, drinking hot chocolate, and because they probably ain't fucking. We know that. Okay. And does she even know the game of football?
No, probably not.
That she's running around, jumping up and down like he just won the fucking Super Bowl. It's annoying. Very annoying.
Yes, I agree. 100%. It is completely annoying. And I'm just glad that this week I will not be watching any Kansas City Chiefs game because it's been on. Luckily for me, I got to watch the Bills and the Dolphins Sunday when I was in Florida. What was a good game early, and then it kind of got away. The better game I got to watch was Tampa and the Saints. Tampa actually played a pretty good football game, and Baker Mayfield's just been a solid quarterback. He's not great, not bad, just been solid. And that team right now is 3-1. I mean, they're scoring points, playing defense. They're may win that division. I picked the Falcons, but Tampa. Tom, I don't know about the Jets O-line coming together too. Boy, oh boy, I think you're reaching on that one. Maybe Jeff feels the same way. I know I do not.
Well, I have a tendency to lean more towards what you're saying, Tom. I don't think that they've played the same combination for 2 games yet this year. And listen, look at the way Zach Wilson is playing. If he had a little bit more protection, he wouldn't be flinging the ball all over the place like he does and playing so recklessly. I got a tendency to agree with you, Tom. I think they're a little further away.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one, bro.
Yeah, I don't know about that one either. Tippmann.
Unless he's starting to get better, which I know when they first came, he wasn't even playing the first game, I don't believe.
No, he didn't. And I'll be honest, he's a center. He's playing guard. He's not even playing. At least he was. I didn't notice.
McGovern or whatever his name is.
Yeah, they've had McGovern playing center. So, I mean, I think the kid the Giants drafted after him has played much better. Now, again, Tippmann in college came out as the number 1 center. He got drafted by the Jets. All good. I don't think there's anything wrong with his career. He'll probably blossom into that number 1 center. I ain't seen it so far, and the O-line has not been good. It's been, at best, it's been subpar. I don't think it's even been that good. I agree with that, Tom. Yes, I think there's a chance they can run the ball.
Here we go. Now we got an old-fashioned wrestling match going on. One guy's bashing the Broncos. Here comes Frank out of nowhere. It's like that wrestler coming down the ramp when Hogan is getting beaten. Frank's coming in to make the save.
Frank's going over the top rope at the last second to save the Broncos. That's why I hate the Jets. Yes. Listen, I'm not going to sit here as a Giant fan and cast aspersions on anybody else's team. I would just say this is going to be a tough win for the Jets based on the way they play. But the best unit in this game will be the Jets defense. I think the Jets are going to find a way to win this game. I don't particularly think it's going to be a pretty game. I think this game is going to be one of those, 1916 games. But
it's definitely going to be an odd score, right?
Yeah.
Like 13-9, 13-11, something stupid like that.
This might be one of those games. Yeah. This might be one of those games where it's like, 17 field goals in the game. Like it's just one of those games back and forth on field goals. Somebody gets a safety, wins the game. And it makes strides up the difference. You have to defend them at the back side. Again, I'm not telling you that he's been terrible. I'm just telling you from what I'm watching. Other than Vera Tucker, and I don't even think and because he's playing out of position, playing tackle right now.
I'm gonna have to start paying more attention because anything that I read and heard about Tippmann, that it wasn't exactly lighting the league on fire. So where are you hearing this, man? Slow down there, Frank. You want to talk about delusional? I know a few Bronco fans that are pretty delusional.
Yeah, Tom, I watched a good piece of the Jets this year. I watched the Patriot game all the way through. I watched a good piece of Sunday night's game. I did not come out of it. They can't run the football. I mean, obviously, Jeff gave you the evidence. The Jets cannot run the football this year, which was supposed to be their strong suit. And I have not seen Zach Wilson have time at any point. So I'll be honest with you. I wherever you're getting your info, maybe you're watching it.
He did have a little bit of an easier time this Sunday, but there was still a few plays where he ran for his life.
Yeah,
but
no,
his thing. Here's the thing with Zach Wilson. Okay, a couple weeks ago they showed him on a play. He was staring at one receiver like he was the only person on the field, and he just kept staring. Everybody's running after him, and it's like you didn't even look off at anybody.
No.
Okay, if you keep staring at that one guy, all they got to do is cover him and shift somebody else over that way. That's it. You're going to get killed. And listen, I just don't. He needs to expand his horizons a little bit and look around the field and see what other options he has.
Well, I think what they tried to do for him, and I think they did a really good job of, was they took out a lot of the reprogressions and they basically told him to get rid of the football quick. Make your decision, find your guy and throw. Because the problem he's been having is he's been waiting for guys to get open instead of throwing to the guy, throwing him open, throwing to a spot, let the receiver go get it, throw the ball to a spot before the receiver gets there and let him run for it. And I think they finally got him to the point where he was right. This was the first game I noticed him getting rid of the ball quick and authoritatively, just throwing the football. And that's how I felt watching it. And I said, if they could get this kid to play this way every week, he'll be successful. Is he going to win Super Bowls doing it? No, not at all. Because eventually teams will change up and they will start stealing those plays. But for now, they're getting him into a rhythm, and I think it's a good thing. So, but I do not feel the same way you do, Tom. I do not think that the Jet offensive line has played well. Again, biggest reason, Jeff just gave it to you. The running game stinks, and you have two legit NFL backs, and those guys, one guy who should be one of the top 5 in the league has 200 yards, 80 of them on one play. And the other guys run for 30 times for 70 yards. That is not a good offensive line.
You gotta look at it this way too, right? I'm just trying to look up who's leading, who got destroyed in sacks. Sam Howell from Washington, 24 times. Daniel Jones sacked 22 times. Justin Fields, 17. Tannehill, 16. Desmond Ridder, 16. Derek Carr, 13. And then we get down, I'm looking. Zach Wilson got sacked. He was number 14 in the league as far as getting sacked. So he's in the middle of the pack. And, I just don't think that, I'm not going to give that kudos to the offensive line because he still got sacked 11 times. That's too many times to be successful. And he's thrown, 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
But listen, for somebody who's throwing the ball as much as he did, it's not too bad. But he's averaging an interception a game. Others are doing worse. So,
yeah. Listen, I think there's a lot of. Listen, I think it's terrific the way they played Sunday night. I think a lot of Sunday night was the Chiefs play bad, Jeff. If you watch the game, that was not the normal Patrick Mahomes. I think the Chiefs came in overlooking it, too much hype from the Taylor Swift stuff, distractions, and they got caught up in a bad game. We'll tell this week. If the Jets can go out there, to Frankie's point, the Broncos do not stop the run. The Jets have to go out there and run the football. And if you don't run the football and be successful,
I would like to see them run the football and control the clock a little bit more. Use Brees, use Cook.
Yeah, sure. No, you're 100% correct. So it's an interesting game for both teams. The Giants have the 1:00 game on the road in Miami, a tough road. Miami coming off a tough loss. I watched that game. What you touched on was Sam Howell and that Eagle Redskin game. And for anybody out there, if you're offended by using the Redskin name, touchdown by the Chicago Bears, up 6-0 in the first quarter against the Redskins. I use Redskins. I don't say Commanders. That was a great football game.
That's a game that only a true fan is going to sit through. The Bears Redskins.
Yeah, I got it. I have the Redskins tonight in my knockout pool. I'm a one of 11 left in that. I took a gamble on the Redskins tonight playing Chicago at home. I just have this feeling the Redskins are due. They lost a tough game. It was a really good football game. I know the Eagles are 4-0, but they are not world beaters. Now, to that part, if you're the Eagles and you haven't played really well at all this year, and they haven't, and you're 4-0, you gotta pat yourself on the back. But they could have easily lost that game. They were up, going with a minute and a half left, and Washington had one timeout. Sam Howell, and he scored on a touchdown pass with no time on the clock. So good job. It was a really good football game. I caught the end of it after the Tampa New Orleans game when I was sitting in the house in Florida, just kind of waiting to leave for the airport. But some good football games. But we're going to get to a little more of that.
Tom, take us over for a minute. I just got to take a squirt real quick.
Sure. Hard Rocket Sports, Jeff and Tom here on a Thursday night. Thanks for everybody hanging out with us. We got when Jeff comes back, we'll do the next edition of the next episode of the Travels of Pepe. And of course, we'll end the show as we do every week with the latest Raider report. So stick around. We got a lot more to talk about. I will not talk too much baseball tonight. I've been doing a lot more baseball on the Sunday show with Joe Gansas. That's Diamond Talk every Sunday morning from 8 to 9:30 before you go on to football. Tune in to Diamond Talk with me and Joe right here on the Hard Rocket Sport Network. We do about 90 minutes of baseball. This week we're going to talk about Buck Showalter being fired. Was it right? Was it wrong? I will tell you my opinion right now. I'll give it to you right now. Buck Showalter did not deserve to be fired, but I understand why he was fired. Buck got a ton of credit for last year's team that failed, and this year was a failure. And I understand Stearns wanting to come in here and not take over a 60-something-year-old manager. Even if he was successful, you'd be changing managers in a year or two anyway. Better make that move now. So it's a smart move. We'll talk about Pete Alonso. Met fans up in arms. They do not want Pete Alonso traded. I get it, but do you want to give Pete Alonso an 8 or 10-year deal at $40 million a year just because he's a homegrown Met? I wouldn't. Pete Alonso does one thing well. He hits home runs really well. He's an average first baseman. He's not good on the base paths. He's not a guy who's athletic, can go play in the outfield. Pete Alonso hits home runs. And we all know the sluggers over the years, that diminishes. So we'll talk about that on Sunday. We'll talk, again, Bucks firing. Baseball playoffs, every one of them was a sweep, although I don't consider 2 out of 3 a sweep. Two games and a 3 a sweep. We'll talk about the playoff races and all that good stuff when we come back this Sunday morning. Joe and I took the weekend off last week because I was away. We're back this Sunday morning, 8 a.m. for a next edition of Diamond Talk right here on the Hard Rocket Sports Network. All right, Jeff's back. Jeff, I want to do since we're talking about Denver, let's do the travels of Pepe, the next episode. See where he is right now. What he's up to. Huh?
The traveling Pepster.
Yes, the traveling Pepster. There's a rumor that Pepe will eventually hook up with Joe Biden and travel the country with Joe Biden, but we'll see how that plays out. We got a lot to get to. We'll get that, but after that, we'll talk about Trevor Bauer and that situation. So sit tight. Let me get the next episode of the Travels of Pepe, and then we'll be right back.
Yes, it is I, Pepe. I have some bad news. I cannot take it no more. I am so embarrassed about my Denver Broncos that this week, if the Denver Broncos fall to the mighty New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers and former Coach Hackett, I, Pepe, will reveal my true self to the world. If they do not win, I will let everyone know the man behind the mask. The reason I'm hiding, but I will hide no more. I will face the shame that I and all Denver Bronco fans face every day on a daily basis. I promise you, as my name, Pepe, I will clear my name and reveal my true identity. I will hide no more. Wish me luck this Sunday. Arriba.
Wow.
My first question about Pepe. Why does Pepe always sound like he's running up a flight of stairs?
I believe he's a little rotund.
You think that's it?
I think he found a lot of places to eat while he was and eat God knows what. I'm sure it's not a good diet.
On the travel across?
Huh?
He was eating bad on the travel across?
He's eating something, all right. A lot of fast food, a lot of dumpster food, I guess.
Pepe just sounds like he's completely out of breath. It sounds like he's running up the stairs. That's all right. But Pepe's made a decision. If the Broncos lose,
Frank, listen, I got to be the first one to tell you, you're not the first person I know this week that's having issues with their dog, man.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
It does suck, man, and I'm sorry. I feel bad for anybody has to deal with that with their dog, man.
It is one of the worst pains you can ever have. So
my dog gets diarrhea, and I'm fucking like, oh my god, the dog is shitting. What's going on? So
I couldn't agree. Listen. My wife and I were away for the weekend. My father was watching the puppy, and my puppy's not a puppy; he's 12. And all we were concerned about was he okay? Was he depressed? What was he doing? And he was fine. My pop came over a bunch of times, slept here every night, and he was fine. It's just we were like, and we're going back for a few weeks, in a couple of weeks, and he's coming with us. So we'll see. I was
away from my dog for that long.
I agree. I mean, it was only legitimately, we saw him on Friday before we left, and we were back on Sunday, and it was torture. So we're going away. We're going to go out to Florida for a little while, and while we're down there, the dog will be with us the whole time. So we'll have the whole family hanging together. So we'll see. But I want to talk about Trevor Bauer now. A little bit of baseball. Interesting. Jeff, do you remember the Trevor Bauer story? Guy was accused.
Yeah, it certainly seems as though that there's been a turn of events.
Yeah, and I think in this, I think anytime a man is accused of hurting a woman, the first thought most people have is, no, Frankie, don't apologize at all, ever. What? We all sympathize. We all have your pup in our prayers. And listen, we're all part of the same family here. So I was just going to
say that, man. Frank, you spend every Thursday night with us, you and Adam for the most part, man. It wouldn't be Thursday night unless you guys were here for a short time with us. So you're not bringing it down, man. We're helping you out, which is a cool thing. One day we may need it. So, it's all good.
Absolutely, my friend. You absolutely. We're here for you. and we hope you'll update us, and hopefully it's great news. We'll only wish you for the best. So we do both understand how you feel. Jeff's been through it before, so have I, and it's just nice to have a little community together that we can kind of have each other's back. So just understand, while we're not sitting in the same room together, we're not even in the same city together at this moment. We got your back, and
we're together, man. We're there.
Absolutely, 110%. So keep us updated on that along the way. So don't ever think you're bringing us down. We're only here for you. But Jeff, so it seems like the norm forever has always been, if a man's accused of hurting a woman, he must be guilty. And I think it's even worse in the social media era because, a woman says it, they throw up a picture, the guy's guilty, run him out of town. His team abandoned him. Baseball suspended for 320 games, unprecedented. And after all this time, the cops do an investigation, and they figure out there's no charges to be filed here. And in fact, they're so I forget where it was, but they basically said her material was misleading. So,
did you see one of the biggest things to me? And she's saying, "Well, no, this was just fooling around with a close personal friend on the next victim."
Yes,
she called him.
How do I get inside his 51 million video? The next morning, that after supposedly he attacked her, she's taking videos in bed, laughing. Yeah, again, this is I can't say obviously. Well, obviously, there's been nothing to it because there was no charges filed against the guy, and yet he's been a pariah now in this country. He went to Japan to play. No team would take him. How does a guy like that, Jeff, get his life back?
Listen, when it comes to sex crimes, okay, as soon as there's an accusation, that's it. The person that's accused is totally fucked. There's no better way to put it. It's a shame that person is now, especially if they turn out to be innocent. If they turn out that they're guilty of whatever crime they're being accused of, well, then it is what it is. But
sure,
when
absolutely.
it turns out that these people are not guilty and that they're innocent, and now their lives are turned upside down, like you said, that this guy couldn't play anymore, and he had to travel to the other side of the world to play. And who says that stigma doesn't follow him over there?
No, 100%. And I didn't realize it, and until I read the post today, that a lot of people think that the reason why the news went after him so hard, why baseball went after him so hard, and social media was because not only is he one of those climate deniers, which I think a lot of us are, he's also a Trump supporter, and they took the opportunity to go after him. And he's suing. He sued her. She sued him back. That lawsuit got basically washed out. They both went away, although he was still allowed to be. He was reading her text messages out that she was having, right? And I think that was great. To me, though, that's a woman who should go to jail. She should go to jail for those accusations being untrue. To me, you do that and you falsely accuse somebody of that, you ruin their life. You got to go to jail. That's the only way you put an end to that.
Yeah, you're 100% right, man. There is no easy way to get your shit back together again.
No, it's impossible. He even with this information, I will be shocked if he ever pitches in the United States again.
Well, isn't he closing in on 40? Isn't he in his late 30s?
I don't know the answer to that.
He might be over the hill for American baseball at this point in time anyway.
It might be, but think about it. That's 2 years of his career. He just signed a big. Let's see. He is Trevor Bauer. I'm just trying to get an age on Trevor Bauer.
I'm going to say he's like 37, 38.
Actually, he's 32.
No way.
Born in 1991. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. He's 32 years old. So he's far from done. He was 30 years old being accused of this. I thought the same as you. I thought he was much older. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so does he deserve an apology? He sure does. Does he deserve?
Who apologizes to him, Tom? The person that was the victim at one point in time, Major League Baseball, America. Where does the apology start and stop? How do you give somebody back? It's like when you watch these stories, and Joe Blow was in jail for 20 years accused of murder. Now all of a sudden somebody came forward because their uncle died, and they're like, well, he actually did it. It wasn't him. And these people's lives are ruined forever. Now, I'm sure Trevor Bauer, has enough money in the bank account from playing Major League Baseball. You can only assume as much.
Sure.
But you took away his livelihood. You took away his
reputation.
Everything.
Sure.
You
Absolutely.
basically ruined his life. And a lot of people, everybody denied it. Everybody didn't want to hear what he had to say. And now here he is. He's back. And hopefully people will, as fast as they were to, put it against him, hopefully they're that fast to listen to what he has to say.
Yeah, I hope so. But you can't get the 2 years back. Even if he got back into baseball next year, Major League Baseball, how could he ever get it? But to me, the Dodgers, obviously this woman owes him an apology, which you're never going to get. She's never going to come out and say, it's never going to happen. But to me, the Dodgers, Major League Baseball, there's two newspapers. He's suing, I think, The Athletic and another newspaper, another online newspaper. They all owe him a huge apology. If I was him, forget about the money aspect of it. I want big headlines and I want apologies that you basically ostracized me without having any evidence. And I think that's the tough part of this is the guy was basically guilty before it was proven. And I think that's the shame of it all. And I think the guy's probably a big dick. Everything I've ever read about the guy, he's basically a big douchebag. But the bottom line is, he was accused by somebody who was obviously trying to get in his pocket. What a shame.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, but again, the only way you're ever going to fix this, the only way you're ever going to get this to stop these false accusations is to put these people in jail. And as much as a rapist or somebody who assaults a woman or a child, as much as they deserve to go to jail, somebody who falsely accuses somebody needs to go to jail, forfeit money, forfeit whatever. But they need to do jail time to atone for that, and that's the only way you're ever going to get this to stop.
It's hard to disagree with that.
Yep. So we're certainly going to see how it plays out, and for Trevor Bauer now that this is out there, and but it took 2 years for the cops to figure this out. I mean, it took 2 years of investigations to get to this point. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, you know what, Tom? You got to hope and that what happened there was that it was a thorough investigation, and that but then again, the guy was already paying for a lie with his career and everything else. Nobody gave his career a second thought.
No.
No. So it's like you would like to think that, all right, it took 2 years, whatever, for this to all come out, but they made the most thorough investigation that they could. They wanted to make sure everything was right, and they did, and it is what it is. Now he's free and he's exonerated. But you're right, too little, too late.
110%. So again, Hard Rocket Sports, that's Jeff and Tom. We got about another 20 minutes of showtime, so hang in there with us. And of course, we'll be back next Thursday night to do this all over again. We're in the middle of October, and lots of cool stuff. I'm going to be seeing Jeff over the weekend, this weekend, I believe, if nothing changes. That's always a good thing. I run into some of the boys this weekend on Staten Island.
Sunday.
Yes, Sunday. Yep, that's right. And all that good stuff. So sit back, guys. We got a few more minutes. I want to talk a little bit about, just real quick on this. Did you notice the story about the Utah football team?
No.
85 players on the Utah football team were given brand new trucks.
Really?
As part of the this name, image, and likeness thing, the NILS, they were all given 85 trucks. Now I believe that they're loaners. They're allowed to use it while they're on the team, and they have to eventually give them back. But think about that. In the years past, you couldn't buy a kid on your team a meal. You weren't allowed to take a kid who played on your team and buy him lunch or buy him dinner to make sure he ate. And today, 85 kids on the Utah football team got brand new trucks from a car dealership. How far have we come, Jeff?
Too far at times.
Yeah, unbelievable. I gotta tell you, very, very interesting. Your man Ozzy, his wife is looking to set up a Ozzy memorabilia museum. I believe it's going to be in England, but I think for our genre, it's underrepresented, and I think it needs a Hall of Fame class. Let me ask you this, Jeff. You're on the Hall of Fame committee. Now, we always talk about the first Hall of Fame class of baseball, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Ty Cobb, blah, 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 blah. Legends. The first Hall of Fame class. How many people or bands go in, and who goes in? Now, you can't put everybody in. All right? You got to limit it. How many people go in that would represent the genre of heavy metal, and who is it?
Well, let me ask you this. How many bands are you giving me to go in? That's one thing. And are we doing just bands, or can we put in certain players?
Yeah, you could put individuals in. You could theoretically, let's say, put in Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne because he had a solo career.
How many bands? I'm going
to give you 4 bands. Have to be in the hard rock and metal genre. Okay, and I'm going to say 70s forward.
Okay, so right off the bat, I would have to say if it's hard rock, metal, I'm going with Black Sabbath.
Okay.
Some of these are going to blow you out in the water.
All right, this is you're on the committee. You get to pick 4.
Now you're talking 4 guys, 4 entrants or 4 bands plus entrants.
4 entrants. That's it. You get 4 entrants.
So I would have to say Black Sabbath, of course.
Okay.
All right. I know you're not going to like this one, but I'm going to say it anyway. A band that I recently really been getting into a lot, but I feel as though
you can't put Greta Van Fleet in. You cannot. They cannot go in.
Led Zeppelin.
I would agree. No doubt. No, I'm not a fan, but there's no doubt.
The reason I say Led Zeppelin is because somewhere there was a fork in the road, and these 2 bands were at it.
100%.
One left and one went right.
100%.
A lot of people followed each one of them behind. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Couldn't agree with you more.
Because I'm only putting in 4, it's kind of hard to. I was going to put in Tony Iommi as an innovator for the heavy metal category, but I can't because I'm only got 4. Okay. So now my next one, I would have to go with AC/DC.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. I guess
the reason I say AC/DC is because we had 2 different bands with Bon Scott and Brian Johnson as the singers, 2 different styles of music, and another band that split at one point and went its separate ways from its inception to where it is today. I think that they should be acknowledged for a band that was as long-lived as they are. They're still going, even with the death of Malcolm Young. I think they need to be acknowledged. And then
interesting. Go ahead.
My 4th band that I would have to pick. Now, see, this is kind of hard because I don't think that certain bands should be in there just yet. Okay. And then I take a certain band like, say, Metallica, which definitely has to be shown something early on if you're putting in a metal category or hard rock metal category. But I'm going to go a little bit further back, to the mid-70s, and I'm going to put Rush in.
Wow. Very interesting because I have the same thought process, but go ahead. Yeah,
I think that Rush has to be acknowledged for a 3-piece band. All of the just the amount of influence that they had on people as players alone. Wow. The amount of people that they influenced to pick up the instrument Those to me are influential people that caused other people to play. So did Tony Iommi, so did Jimmy Page, and everything else. But Rush themselves, bass player, drummer, more than singer or guitarist. So just Neil Peart and Geddy Lee as bass player, drummer, launched 1,000 fucking careers. And I will say, if I was able to put in players on top of it, I would have wanted to put in Tony Iommi for starting the genre, and I would have put in James Hetfield.
Hetfield?
Yes.
Why Hetfield?
Because I think that James Hetfield may be the best rhythm guitar player in hard rock and metal, period. I'm not a big Metallica fan, but think of it. He writes, he sings, he plays guitar. Okay? There's not too many Metallica songs that sound alike. Yes, they don't put out an album, but like every 8 to 10 years, it seems at this point in time.
Yeah.
But no two albums ever sound like the one before it. And I got to say that at least he tries, I feel he tries to come up with other songs. And he's been doing this now for close to 40 years, over 40 years. And I think that it's something that should be acknowledged. I think he should be in as a rhythm guitar player, songwriter. And I mean, listen, that's what I think. You know what I mean?
Wow. That is an interesting take. I don't agree on the Hetfield thing because I never think of anybody in Metallica who stands out for their instrument. I think it's a collective band as innovators, bringing that thrash sound back in the 80s. I acknowledge. I think their first 4, 5, 6 albums, whatever it is, are gold standards. Maybe everything up to the Black Album at that point. But I differ from you that for your first 3, no doubt in my mind, I'm with you 100%. I even like the AC/DC pick, but I think Rush was one I was going to drop on you for the same exact reasons. Obviously, Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. My only dilemma would be, Frankie, I would have to probably go back between 2 bands. One would be Kiss, okay, because of the longevity, because of the style, how huge they were, how huge they still are. Kiss to me is on the bubble, and the other band that would be on the bubble, I'd have to have somebody representing new album, the new wave of British heavy metal. So it'd have to be the Maiden or Priest. So one of those 3 bands would be my 4th band. Now I'm leaving out AC/DC, Van Halen. There's a lot. I'd also want to put Ozzy in as a solo act because I think again, Ozzy and Crazy Train and Blizzard of Oz put metal on the map in the big picture. Yes, I agree with you. Sabbath is the grandfathers of metal, but Ozzy put everybody on the map. So I guess I'm gonna have to go Kiss because of the of who they are and what they've accomplished. But I feel bad leaving out Judas Priest or Iron Maiden. Van Halen's another great one, Frankie, but they can't go in before those other guys. Would you agree, Jeff?
I hear you. I could agree with that to an extent, but here's the thing: I would almost have to put Maiden and Priest in as one pick.
You're right. It's basically the same thing. You're right.
It's not so much that they're basically the same thing. I want you to think of this, and Frankie, chime in, please. All right, you had the Scorpions 2 guitar players. You had Kiss 2 guitar players. You had AC/DC 2 guitar players. You had Deep Purple, a guitar player, and organ keyboard player. You had Michael Schenker Group and UFO 2 guitar players, keyboard players. None of them did the same thing that Maiden and Priest did with harmonies on guitar. Not many bands did the harmonies that Maiden and Priest could do. To me, that was kind of groundbreaking. Who else was doing that at that point in time? 2 guitar players,
2 lead guitar players, 2 lead guitar, basically 2 lead guitar players. Most of those are bands. You had the lead guitar player. Angus Young was the lead guitar player. Michael Schenker was the lead guitar player, and you had a great rhythm guitar player. I think Maiden and Priest, they became 2 lead guitar players who traded off stuff along the way.
I also, and I don't know what you guys will think about this, Tommy. You may agree with this more than I don't know about Frank. I gotta say, I remember watching the Trooper video during the solo. Yep. And if you go back and you go to watch the just the solo part, how Dave Murray and Adrian Smith transition from each other.
Oh, absolutely. They did it all the time.
Just, to me, is unbelievable. Seamless transition. That's how I see it. I think that those guys as players don't get enough acknowledgement. I think that Glenn Tipton gets a little bit more for lead playing than KK Downing, but the two of them are a machine.
Yeah,
and they just feed off of one another. It's just hard to say. Four great guitar players. I wouldn't be able to pick one over the other.
So would that cancel them? Would that cancel them out in your part for at least the initial class? Maybe your second class could have them in it, but the first class you'd have to leave them out because you couldn't pick between the two of them.
No, my first class I would have left them out because I'm thinking that I'm putting in the building blocks.
Okay.
I'm putting in Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin for helping start the genre of music that we're talking about. Okay, then I'm putting in AC/DC just because that they were a band that came out in the mid 70s, just a basic 3-chord blues band, and then once Bon Scott died, they switched gears and they went to become like a heavy metal band. They got stepped away from the blues, and then Rush, just because of what Geddy Lee and Neil Peart, what they brought to the table and how they influenced others to become musicians. I just think that should be acknowledged. We could sit here all day. Queen is a hard band to classify in my eyes. They started off as a hard rock band, but by the time they were done, they did everything disco, everything. Think about what they've done. Disco, hard rock. They never did no metal. They did melodies. They did ballads. They did so much stuff. What do you even classify Queen as? I just rock.
To me, hard rock. To me, well, you're probably more right. I would put them in the hard rock category, but
are they hard rock, Tom?
I don't know. That's a good. Whenever you hear distorted guitars,
early Queen, hard rock, without a doubt. But after a certain point, once Bohemian Rhapsody, that's not hard rock in my eyes.
No, I agree with you, but like even on the game, even on that album, which is more disco-y, there's some heavy guitar sounds on that album. Dragon Attack, some of the other songs.
Is all bass. That's all.
But you listen to the guitars in those songs. It's Brian May's sound is hard rock. I agree with you. They kind of fall in the middle of everything because they've tried it all, and I think that's what makes them good. Hammer to Fall is a fantastic song. In fact, one of the few songs I've been playing on the guitar is that song because I love that song. I think it's a great song. But Jeff's right. I wouldn't put them in my Hall of Fame. They just were a little under the radar band back in the day.
They're going in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, they're just not going
round.
Into my first round of Hall of Fame. But I'm going to tell you right now, I like this one a lot. And we haven't done it in a while. But next week, come up with 10 picks for the Hall of Fame. 2 rounds.
Okay.
So you're going to get 10 picks, whether they're bands, musicians, whatever. Okay. Who you would put into the Music Hall of Fame and why.
Okay.
Okay.
Including the bands we named tonight, or 10 other than we did.
Now your whole thing is completely different because now I said 10 picks, not 4. So correct. We're going to do 5 picks per round.
Okay.
So you could put in a person, you could put in a band. It has to be. There is no genre. Rock. It's not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It is the Music Hall of Fame. We're going to do it right. We're going to redo it. We're going to do it right. And I want to see who you're going to say who you're going to put in as your 10 picks.
Okay. Fair enough. That'll be next week's
thing. Right now.
Go ahead.
Right now, my job is to blow the back of your brains off, man.
All right.
I am already thinking of picks. You're going to be like, no fucking way. I can't believe you said that.
Well, listen, I'm going to be interested in seeing it. That I will have it on the list for next week, and we will definitely put this in. And guys, if you're out there, Frankie, Adam, everybody, if you got some picks, and legit numbers. That put them up on the thing. Send it to me if you want me to read them out on the show. But yeah, we will definitely put that in. So yeah, I Jackson 5. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we come up with. I have some thoughts already about not only bands and musicians who deserve to be in there, but maybe some other people in the industry that deserve to be in the Music Hall of Fame, as Jeff's call it. So, hey guys, we got time for. I want to run through each of Sunday's games with Jeff. Tell you which games are interesting games or games that are must watch, and we'll end the show with our Raider report before we close it out for the week. It's been a great show. And by the way, I see Simone Biles. If you guys don't know who Simone Biles is, she's a great gymnast who in the last Olympics got out there and said it was too much tension, too much stress, and she quit on her team and took a spot away from somebody. And the fact that she's still on the American team is mind-blowing to me. She should have been barred from Olympic competition for being a wuss. You train your whole life and you show up at the Olympics, you take somebody else's spot and you leave because you're stressed. You shouldn't be on that. But Jeff, we won't even get into that.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah. Okay, Jeff.
You have one job and it's to go do gymnastics and you're stressed out.
Yeah. And you can't. And by the way, you could have easily said, you know what, I don't want to go to the Olympics. Let somebody else go. No, not only did you cost your team wins, but you took a spot from somebody else who actually had the balls to go there and compete. That's what bothers me.
Yeah, that's the sad part.
You know, some girl has practiced her entire life from she's 4 years old. What the hell is that? Your Christmas tree? Your ceramic Christmas tree?
It's a Halloween Christmas tree.
Halloween Christmas. Think about it, my man. We are weeks away from the best time of the year when we get to start talking Christmas stuff and movies and playing Christmas videos on the show. You know, we live for it around here, and the big year-end shows around the corner where Jeff will read off his dead list.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
And we'll be adding Dick Butkus's name to the dead list this year, who just passed away. One of the all-time greats. So stay tuned for that in about 2 months. We are almost at the Christmas. Jeff, does the Christmas season start for you right after Halloween?
Read that.
Not
out loud, though. Not out loud.
I've learned anything private, no better.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't read the one before that. Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, the last one. That's what you got to read.
Why would you take it down? Why would you do that at this point? I mean, it's weeks away.
I had to. I understand. There was a lot going on. I got lazy. I never even went downstairs. What can I tell you? I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, I know. I took the Redskins in my knockout pool too. So I'm
taint slapping. Is that right? Is that what I'm reading? Taint slapping.
Yes, we wrote taint slapping.
I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a bad thing. It's 17-0. By the way, how did the deck come out? Did the deck get finished?
No.
Okay.
That there is. If you sign off the air at 9:00 here, or
9:00,
or that's what time the show ends on Facebook.
Oh no, we can run in a few more minutes. It's not a problem.
Well, if you want, I'll give you
good.
End the show on Facebook, and I can tell you something.
Okay. All right. Well, I got a couple more, one more thing to do, and then we'll play the Raider report, and then we'll sign out off from Facebook, and then we'll talk. So let's go on to this real quick. So this is Jeff. I'm going to give you each game. Tell me if this is a game worth watching.
Or why I want to watch it.
Well, you can. You could throw it in there and say, this is why I don't want to, I do want to. You know, that's up to you. Okay. I'll start with the early games. The 1:00 game, Giants at the Miami Dolphins. Jeff, are you watching this game, and why? Why not?
If I was watching it, it's only going to be because I think that the Dolphins may be able to put up 70 points again against the Giants. And because I would get to see Jalen Waddle play, one of the performers on our team. And, well, I certainly don't want to see anything the Giants are going to do. But I got a feeling that the Dolphins are going to hit the wall somewhere along the line. And Frank Jeffrey is going to be very, very unhappy when that does happen.
Yes.
And I'm not talking they lose to the Bills. I'm talking about they hit the wall. Something bad is going to happen to that team. So, yeah, I would watch that game.
All right. How about the 4:30 game, Jets at Denver Broncos?
Well, I'll be with you, and
Yep.
we'll be together, so I'm sure it'll be on. I got to be honest with you. I don't think there's going to be much excitement in this game, so I'm definitely not watching it for the excitement. This will probably be one where I'd be, if I was home, where I'd be bopping between upstairs and downstairs.
Okay. I would say this is a game for me worth watching, but yeah, I can understand why not. Jeff, the 9:30 morning game, Jacksonville versus Buffalo in London. Is this a game worth watching?
No, I don't like the Jaguars, man. I think the Jaguars are overrated. I think everybody picks them every year for something, and they're just not worth the pick. They're not worth the trouble. So no, I have no urge to watch them.
An AFC Classic matchup: the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. 1:00. Jeff, two teams. The Steelers are having a very bad season. Baltimore 3-1. The Steelers at 2-2. So it's still close. Jeff, is this a game worth watching?
Yes, because it's an AFC North fight. These teams always seem to play one another tough, and it's more interesting to watch Facebook and watch a couple friends cry about the Steelers all day long. So it is fun to watch them slowly circle the drain.
You have another 1:00 matchup. The 0-4 Carolina Panthers traveling to Detroit to play the Lions, the 3-1 Lions. Is this a game worth watching?
No, it's not. But I wouldn't mind watching the Lions play and strengthen their hold in the division.
Okay. Jeff, we are also at 1:00. The Houston Texans, the surprising Houston Texans, travel to Atlanta to play the underachieving Atlanta Falcons. Is this a game worth watching?
No, because I don't think anybody here, they're just playing out the string from the start of the season. I don't think either team is going in the right direction any place. So I would say no. I wouldn't want to watch it.
Again, another 1:00 game tomorrow, Sunday. The Tennessee Titans traveling to Indianapolis to face the Colts. Jeff, is this a game worth watching?
It might be. The Colts seem to have a little fight in them this year. And, I'm interested to see this kid Richardson, if he's playing, or Minshew. I think they're going to make the game fun to watch, either one of them.
Okay, interesting. Okay, 4:00 game now. We're in the 4:00 hour. The underachieving Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Arizona to play the not sure what Arizona Cardinals at 4:05. Jeff, at 4:05, is this game worth watching?
Not for me, no. No interest in that one.
I don't think many people do. The only interest would be to see if Joe Burrow and that team, they've only scored 49 points for the year so far. A team that a lot of us picked to go out to the Super Bowl have definitely underachieved. So that may be the only interesting.
I hate to say it, but from when he got hurt, he just hasn't been the same.
Yep, you're 100% right. So Jeff saying a no on that one. Another 4:00 game, Jeff. Philadelphia Eagles 4-0 traveling to LA to play the Rams. Jeff, is this a game worth watching?
If you're an NFC fan, yeah, because LA seems to be rebounding a little bit. I don't think they're in the same class as the Eagles, but it could be interesting.
Okay, so here's a worth watching. Here's an interesting game, Jeff. The Kansas City Chiefs off a lackluster performance against the Jets Sunday night with Taylor Swift in tow at Minnesota, 4:25. Jeff, is this a game worth watching?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because if the Vikings keep doing bad, this is the last year for Cousins. He could become trade bait, and if the Jets start picking up a little bit, that could be a destination for Cousins to get traded to. So I would say, yeah, I would watch that.
Okay, and the 8:20 game Sunday night. Most people say this is the heavyweight matchup. The Dallas Cowboys travel to San Francisco to play the Christian McCaffrey-led 49ers. Jeff, is this a game worth watching?
Yes, I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. I think you'll see which team is for real. And listen, it doesn't mean that that's the winner. going to the Super Bowl, but it's definitely an important game now for home field advantage.
Okay.
I feel.
Okay. And before I give you the last game, I'm going to go to the Raider report because our last game is the Raiders and the Packers. So before I get your take on the game, I'm going to bring in our next Raider report with our dearly departed friend, Mr. Dom Genta.
Hey, boys, it's me, Dom Genta. Been in a very foul mood as of late. I can't believe what's going on. The Raiders won and whatever. Garoppolo, brain injuries. What the fuck is going on here? If they don't win this Sunday, I'm marching into the office and I'm going to request a meeting with the head man. And I'm going to tell him, you brought me up here to put me through hell. Send me back. Let's get the Raiders back on track and to the Super Bowl. You owe me. I can't take this no more. I'm so mad, I don't know what I'm going to do next. I may even grow hair so I can pull it the fuck out. I don't know. All I do know is that this is total bullshit. The Raiders better win this week or there's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah, I've noticed one thing. First of all, I noticed for the first time there's a Christmas tree behind him each week. And I've noticed that he hasn't changed his shirt in heaven. There's no changing of shirts in heaven, I guess.
Well, I don't know what the situation is up there and you know what the dress code is, but I'm sure the half man is, you know, maybe taking a little wine from the altar here and there. Yeah. But he was always a snappy dresser.
He was a sharp dresser, I have to tell you. The man could be a sharp dresser. So, but he's a little pissed off, and we need a win.
I think rightfully so, man. They got rid of Carr and they went and got Garoppolo, and you know, listen, just things ain't going right. What can I tell you?
Well, let's finish it up, Jeff. So on that note, the Monday night game is the Green Bay Fudge Packers at the Las Vegas Butt Pirates. Monday night game, which is always an event. Jeff, is that a game worth watching?
Yes, because we have so many receivers from the Packers. So yeah, and we also have one from the Raiders. So God forbid that he's not playing and has a great game. So
that's very true.
We don't know, but you know, it's almost like you don't know which way to go with that. You know, like does anybody really care about Garoppolo? And that's another one too that I heard may be getting moved, and that he could possibly go to the Jets as a rental.
Interesting. Yeah, listen, there's a lot of stuff before the October or I think it's the end of October trade deadline. So we'll obviously keep a track in here. We'll watch it like we do every week. But folks, it's been fun. We got to end this right here. Boy, oh boy, 2 hours just flew by. Thanks to all of you guys, my dad, Frank Catalano, Tom, Adam Hines, as always. The Festa boys are the best. The Hemp Wizard, everybody, Black Sasquatch, everybody for tuning in tonight and watching us. Frankie Katz, good luck tomorrow, and obviously the pups in our prayers. Keep us updated on that end of it. Do you have anything band related out there? Anything new you want to put out there?
Just October 21st, 25 missions. I should remember the name of the place. It's by the Annandale train station. Boktober Fest, I think it's called. Nice. And then November 25th, the return of the Roars.
That's true. Big engagement.
The original lineup, not the watered down version that you kept saying was going to be coming around.
Oh, okay.
The original lineup.
Well, it has to be original. There's never been another lineup of it, so it has to be original.
I mean, that was the original lineup. I'm just reiterating that. That is the original lineup. And listen, I would love to tell you that you're going to be shocked, but you're going to be shocked if we remember any of the songs because we go to practice and we have to listen to the songs in order to play the songs sometimes. And, you know, this isn't exactly Rush that we're doing. So, you know, if we don't get our shit together, well, it could be a very long time on stage, you know, but
a very short time.
Well, You never know. That 25 minutes we could play fucking 36 fucking Ramon songs. So
That's very true. That is true. But well, listen, everybody should check out the Remorons, and they should certainly check out 25 Missions with the two Grazianos and Jeff and whoever the keyboard plays, like the keyboard player in Spinal Tap. You know he's there, you just don't know his name. So
his name is Dave. He's a nice enough guy. We got off kind of on the wrong foot because the first show we did, I wasn't too keen on having a keyboard player, which I'm still wish we didn't. But I mean, nothing against the guy. I just don't want to do a keyboard.
Understood.
So anyway, somebody put his stuff in a bad way, and I got caught up, tripped, and almost broke several different things as I went down. And as soon as I got up, I'm like, well, who the fuck put that stuff there? And I was all pissed off. And I walked away from him. And then later on in the night, I went over to him and I apologized. And he was like, I didn't put the stuff there, man. Somebody else put it there. And I was like, you know what? I don't even want to know. I apologize to you for getting out of line. I apologize. I don't want to know who put it there, so I don't go after kill anybody else. So it is what it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're late second quarter. Chicago up 17-3 over the Redskins. Not looking good for me in my knockout pool, but it is what it is. So, guys, all right. So with that, I'll say goodnight to everybody. Thank you all for tuning in, spending 2 hours with Jeff and I. And we do certainly appreciate everybody who does come back every Thursday night. And there's more out there than we know. I get to see some of the numbers. So I thank everybody who does listen and doesn't pop up on the screen. So anyway, having said that, please, guys, thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your night, the rest of your week, your weekend, and all of next week. Come on back next Thursday night when Jeff and I do this all over again. So for Jeff Tomwinski and myself, everybody at the Hard Rocket Sports Show, I say thank you. Have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday night on the Hard Rocket Sports Show. All right, everybody. Jeff, hang in there a minute.
Okay.